Yeah, good evening, everyone. So, yesterday we finished learning about arrays, how to use them, right? In JavaScript data types, we learned about what is an array type. How do we work with array? And we learned about array methods, some important methods used in array. So, next important, we need to understand other data types. Other data types, we have object type. We have an object type. After understanding array type and how to deal with arrays, array manipulations, next one is object. Actually, what is the concept of object in computer programming? So, in computer programming, object is used to keep all related data together, data and logic together. Object is used to keep all related data and logic together. That is actually the main concept of an object in computer programming. So technically, I will show you one simple point. Let's take our project here. Now in this project, just roughly, I'm adding so LET TV is a string and say some Samsung TV. LET mobile is a string, some LG mobile. Now we have LET price. It is a number. Now I defined some price. Now, what do you say? This price belong to TV or mobile? There is no relation at all. There is no relation between price, TV and mobile. Keeping all related data together is the main concept of object. That is the main concept of object. So if I can keep all related data together, it is easy to handle the related data easily. That is the main concept of object. So here price doesn't belong to mobile or TV, all are independent. So the concept of keeping all data together was introduced by Alan Kay in early 1960s. In early 1960s, so Alan Kay introduced the concept of object into computer programming. What is the main concept is? The main concept is to keep all related data and logic together. He introduced the concept of object. Object concept was there before OOP concept is there. Many people think object is related to OOPs, class, object. No, object is there before OOP is there. So object started with this Alan Kay's 1960, he introduced this object into programming. After that, so many technologies came that started using this object. They started using the object. They started reusability of objects, separation of objects, everything. OOP history later we will see. But after object came, Johann Ole and Christian Nygaard. These two people introduced reusability of object. Actually, they introduced the first object oriented programming language called Simula. Simula is the name of first object oriented programming language. Simula is the first OOP language. It was in early 1967. After the Simula means simulation systems. OOP language was introduced for that. After that, C++ in 1970s, it made OOP concepts familiar. After that, Java, .NET, all other technologies started using these concepts. So many people think C++ is the first OOP language. But before C++, the first OOP language was similar. And the main concept was objects, reusability, separations, all these were there. So what is the key concept is all related data must be at one place so that it is easy to handle. So for that, generally how we do in TypeScript actually, TypeScript uses so JSON technique. TypeScript uses the JSON technique. JSON is JavaScript object notation. JavaScript object notation. It is a JSON technique for data. In JSON technique, what happens is actually object is a set of keys and values. Is a set of keys and values. Is a set of keys and values. That means usually it is defined in this way. We will have a key and we will have a value. So they are separated with a comma. You can have multiple keys and a value. That is how object is defined. So it keeps all related data together. So key is always string type. Key is always string type. And a value can be any type. Value can be any type. That means it can be a primitive type, non-primitive type. It can be anything. So key can be string type and the value can be any type. It's mandatory that key must be string type only. That is actually JSON notation. So that means how to keep related data together. In JavaScript, you will learn all that. But in TypeScript, how you define is C. To keep the related data together, we will use LET. Now we have a product and product is an object type. There is no separate data type for object. What we have to do is we have to put a colon. If you are making it as a object, then you have to put a curly brace. And here you have to mention what should be the keys and values. Keys it is handling. What are the keys it is going to handle? So product have to handle name, which should be a string type. Product must able to handle price, which must be a number type. Product must able to handle a stock, that should be Boolean type. Like this we define. This is how object is declared. That is how an object is declared. So that means now product is an object that contains name, price and stock. Whatever defined in the object properties, only those are allowed. No extra, no less than that. That means you can't ignore anything. You can't put anything extra. Exactly what you mentioned. That means now how to store data into this object. So we have to put product. We will assign data. Data is object type data. Then we have to put a curly brace, and it is showing error because as per the rule, it must have name. That means name is a property, and a colon, its value should be a string type. So that is how we define. After that, it must be having price, and price is a number type. I put a string, it is not allowed. It should be number type. So price is number type. Still it is problem because stock is not mentioned. So we need to define stock. Into that, we will put a Boolean type. Now it is okay. That's how we design an object. Configuring an object and defining data into that object. You can initialize or you can assign. Already we know what is initialization and assignment. So here we configured an object and we mentioned that object should deal with this. And we configured an value into it. And as I told you, the object can handle any type. For example, suppose we are using shipped to. Shipped to is a string type array. Shipped to is a string type array. That means according to that, this object must have shipped to, which is an array. An array of not numbers, array of only string. So already yesterday we saw how to declare arrays, configure arrays already we learned. Now it is Delhi and it is some Hyderabad, like this we are defining. That means now your object contains little complex data. It have name, price, stock. It have shipped to. Now see here, this product contains another property called rating. Rating is again an object type. Rating is again object. Rating is an object. In this rating, I can have rate, which is number, and I can have count, which is also a number. That means an object inside object. We call these as embedded objects. These are embedded objects. Anything you can have in a object. An object key can contain any type of value. Now, according to this, now I need to mention rating here. Now, comma, rating. Rating is an object. Object will have again curly brace. According to that, we should have a rate that is 3.5. And it should have a count which is some 5,000, like this. This is how we define object. So data is configured and stored. And remember, this all related to Samsung TV. That means we are keeping all related data at one place. So this is configuring an object and assigning data into an object. Anywhere in real world environment, anywhere in the world, any technology may be in the back end, the final data comes to you in the form of JSON. That means whatever technology you may be using in the backend, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, anything, finally data have to come in this way to you. Everybody's main target, presenting data in this format. So they pull the data, convert the data into this format, and they send the data. What is the responsibility of Angular, React developers? Consume this data and present this data. Earlier, few years back, we used to use XML data very much. That is outdated now. No more XML. Still, some companies will use XML data. We are not preferring that anymore. Now everything will be in JSON. For example, see here. So we have, suppose you see, this is NASA official website. This is NASA API websites, NASA official website. This is the NASA's API website. This is the website of NASA, and this website is specially for software engineers. This is for software engineers, not for scientists or anybody. This is only for developers. Why? Because they provide data to developers so that developers can use this data and design websites and educate people. Right? So, and see how they provide data. We see browse APIs. You see they provide a lot of data. Suppose Mars rover photos. And they give one URL here. And when I select that URL, you can see the data comes in this format. This is JSON data. So anybody in the world is now going to provide you data in this way. Now, what is the responsibility of developer is present this data in an understandable format of user. That is what your technology will teach you. Your Java.NET will teach you up to this point, means how to create this and send. Up to this point, they will teach you. From here, I am going to teach you. From here, I am going to teach you how it is presented, how we consume this. Designing up to this is your backend responsibility. That means your Java, your .NET, your PHP, your Python have to that will connect with the database, get the data, return the data in JSON form or XML. So responsibility starts from here. Up to here, backend. From here, the front end. That means now our responsibility, we will do this. We will present this kind of data in our Angular. Is people who don't have idea on data, they can't present the data. First, you need to understand the data. You see, it is returning. What is the final data it is returning? What is the final URL is returning? What data type it is returning? See the code. Tell me what type of data it is finally returning. It is finally returning an object. And can you tell what is the object key? Object key is photos. Can you tell what is the photos type? Photos type is an array. And in that array, again an object. In that object, ID sol. ID is what type? Number. Sol is what type? Number. Camera. Camera is again what type? Camera is again what type? Object type. I am not asking key type. I am asking its value type. And all keys are string only. It's mandatory that every key must be only string. That means ID, sol, camera, all are string types. Their values can be any type. If you cannot understand this kind of data, you are not suitable as a developer for Angular or React. And you can't do any of your practical exams, tests, you can't pass. Because as a React and Angular people, when you go to companies, the task given to you is, those companies will give you their APIs. They will say that here data is present. You have to design UI for this. That means now you have to use your skills of front end, consume the data and present the data. They will not ask you to design data. They will say that already we have data. You just design the presentation for this data. That is our responsibility. That is what we will learn. But for that, you need to first understand what the data type is. So this is object. Now how to access object? Simple. Suppose I want to print console.log. I want to print the name of product. Then I will do object name. Object name is product dot property is name. I want to print it price. Then here we have to define product dot price. It's rating, how much? Then we have to define rating. I defined here product dot rating dot rate, because rating is an object. Rating is an object, and you can see in that rating object there is another property called rate. That means we are accessing the rate, and here I will put product dot rating dot count. How many people rated it? Right now, this is how we are presenting. I am not accessing all details. I am using only few. And if I want to print where it is shipped to, because shipped to is again an array. Shipped to is an array. So we will do one thing. Say shipped to, and it is again an array. So we will do one thing. We already learned. So what is it? Product dot shipped to is an array. If it is an array, how we can print this array? We will use toString. Okay. We learned already toString, toJoin. We learned find, filter yesterday, how to deal with them. Right. Now that is enough. This is what we are printing. Let's compile this and see. So we are configuring an object and we are handling it. This is tsc index.ts and node index.js. It is going to print the details. The name, the price, the rating, and shipped to. That's how we are defined. So we can access the data from an object and we can handle it. So we need to know how do we configure the objects and how do we access the objects. That is the basic point. So key always string and value can be any. Any type means it can be a primitive type or it can be a non-primitive type. But we have an object, some name, it is a string, and we have a price, that is a number. We have a stock, that is a boolean, and we have cities. This is an string array. So we have rating, it is an object. Again, it have rate, which is number, also a number. Like this, we configure the data. This is the basic syntax, how you configure the objects. So how you access and present example is this one. So the example I just showed here. Let's print this boolean also, then we can take this. So let's take an example here now. So what we are doing, stock is also there. Let me print that stock also. I will use next line stock is equal to, because stock is a boolean, then we will use product dot stock is equal to true, then question mark it is available. You know ternary operator, right? You learn ternary operators. So, and it is out of stock. This is ternary operator. That means if it is true, it will send this one. If it is false, very simple ternary operator in every programming language, right? And now it is going to present this. So we are going to present all the details. Stock available because it is true. So that is one simple example. Let me copy this example for your notes. This is the example program for this is in the index.js, index.ts. Currently, I am using only one file every day. Later, we will learn how to deal with multiple files. So there can be more than one file. So for that, next level options will be understandable. So this is another type. Next, after understanding how we can deal with array and how we can deal with object, now see, another important you need to know is how to deal with array of objects. This is very, very important because sometimes data will be in this format. That means sometimes directly object will come, sometimes array of objects will come. So for example, so I will show you another example here. So this is okay, fine. I will show you another example. Suppose we have a database table. So suppose we are having a database table. It is in your Oracle, MySQL, SQL server, anywhere it may be. Suppose you have name. So we have price and we have so some stock. So name is suppose TV. So price is some price and stock is true. Another some mobile and price is some price and stock is some false. Like this we have. Generally in a database, you will have data in a tabular form. Now the question is how it is sent to you. In the middle, your server side technologies, everything will come. Finally, how this data will come to you? Because here, the data, here we have multiple, 2 records are there. That means it is an array. 2 records are there. That means it is a collection of 2 records. Means it's an array. Collection means array. In TypeScript and JavaScript, a collection means only array. No stack, no queue, no hash tables, nothing. Here you will have only one collection, that is array. And in this array, every record is an object here. That means first object is what type? It have name. So that is TV. And second object, first object have price. And this is some price. And first object have stock. And this is true. And after that comma, we have second object. Every object will come in this way. This is an array of objects. So everywhere, usually you have data maintained in database. Your server side technologies will teach you web services and APIs. And those web services and APIs will convert the data into JSON and they will send like this. Now I want mobile price. If I want mobile price, how to access? So this is the data. In this data, mobile is at one index At one index, we have an object which will access the price. At zero index, it is having first object and its price it will get. Because this is what? This is an array. In this array, this is at 0 and this is at 1. That is how data comes if it is a collection. You see so many online APIs I will show you. Fake store API is one popular API. This is also just like NASA I showed you. This is a fake store API. This will provide some data for practicing your projects like online shopping and all. It's a ERP one. You see here, you see I click on products, it will return the products data. Now this time the data is not object directly. Final data, what it is returning? The final data coming is not an object. The final data coming is an array starting with square brace. That means it is an array. Array of objects. Array of objects. And every object ends here. You can see this is one object. And every object have ID, have title, have price, have description. That means actually every object is having ID, it is having title, it is having price, it is having description, and it is having description is very less. It is having image, it is having rating. You see rating is again object. That rating object contains rate and count. This is one object related data. So it have array inside, it have object inside, it have a string inside, it have a number inside. This is how data comes. Right now, a Java developer says that I don't. Silly thing. What you are talking about? If a .NET developer says I don't know JavaScript, it's a joke. What you are talking about? Completely baseless, right? You are not a Java .NET developer in real world projects if you are not able to handle the front end. Never. That is not the profile also actually. It's very silly thing that they don't know HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and they are Java and .NET developers. You can't fit into real world because you are a Java developer. But what is your responsibility? One is converting the data and giving the data into a JSON form to the front end. Sometimes front end also you have to manage. That means they will say that you only present this. That how you will present? For that you need lot of front end skills. jQuery, Angular, React. That is why these are very mandatorily asked for Java .NET developers these days. Because you have to create the API, you have to present the API. That is your job now. Earlier we have people with separate profile. One person will create API, another person consumes API. Now you have to do both. So that is the reason these days you cannot say that I don't know how to present this data, because every service data comes in a format of JSON. You must able to understand and you must able to present. For that, whatever technologies are required in the front end, you have to learn as a Java or .NET developer or a Python or a PHP developer. That is current company projects role, developer's role. So working with API is very important, right? So many people actually ask for job support these days. I hope you know job support. Job support means these days many people ask for job support. Job support means already they are working in a company and company says that from day after tomorrow onwards, you have to work in this area, and you have to update yourself in 2-3 days, and you start doing work. If you say that, how do I update in 2 to 3 days? He will say that, then resign and go home and get prepared. And whenever you're done with it, come back, we will check. You can't say, how do I do in 2-3 days? Is not enough to learn. Those all things will not happen. That is the reason now people are asking for job support. They are saying that, so I'm already working in my company, you do my work, I will pay you some money. This is a business now. Do you know? I hope many of you know. Job support is now a business, because those people get job, but they don't know how to work. How they got the job? Various loopholes are there. So you say back door jobs, some references, but how many days they will survive like that? They are asking for job support, means you do my work, I will pay you money. He will give access to all his credentials. You have to log in, you do the work. People who are software developers are doing this as a part-time job, and they are making lot of money. People from US and other countries also ask. They pay more money. They pay even half of their salary to you. You have to just sit for 2 hours, 3 hours and do their work and finish. People, do you know, in Hyderabad, several places, we have separate offices set up like that. Their job is doing this job support. Separate offices. That means morning time one office will be running, night time another office will be running. Yes, they don't establish. You see, plug and play offices are there in Hyderabad, so many. Plug and play offices means morning time one institute is running. Evening time they rent that institute to other people who do job support, because they need internet, they need servers, they need database, they need technology related everything installed. They need all telephones, phone calls, management and everything. Night time another company is working, morning time another company working. Those are happening because all these people do job support and gets lot of money. Now majority from past 1-2 years, whoever asked me for job support, means ask me for job support means they don't ask me to do their job. They say that, you know anybody, let me know, because so you know any of your students can do my job support, then recommend. I will talk to them, I will pay them, and they can do that work. So if any skilled people are there, they are doing such job supports. And from past 1-2 years, whatever job support came to me, so was related to these APIs. That means they are saying that you from US and other locations, majority 90%, they say that, sir, in my company Angular React is introduced now, and they are asking that we have to work on this immediate, and I don't know anything. I will learn Angular and React, but learning and working is very difficult. It will take time for doing it. I will be learning, meantime my job should be managed by somebody. Because if you are unable to manage that job, then they will kick you out. They will look for somebody else who can do it. Right? They will not wait for you. That's the reason people say that, okay, we will learn. At the same time, my work will be somebody else doing. And latest all job supports, majority are related to this concept of. They are Java developers, .NET developers, but they never worked with APIs. And now the company is asking to do that. In that case, they have to learn React, Angular, and use those APIs and handle them. So they will learn. It will take time. But meanwhile, somebody have to do their work. So that is what actually very, very important. That means you need to understand the data and able to present the data, which we will do in our Angular concept, how to do it. Now, how data comes in the form of an object or in the form of an array. Array of objects or array of string number. Array of object means house. Array of object means, let's put a simple one. This time I will keep LET products. Products is what? Products is an array of object. And every object in that array must be having a name, string type, must be having a price, which type? Number. Let's keep it simple like this. This is array of objects. Now how to store data into it? Now we have to use products. Products is equal to, we have to assign, it is an array. In that array, every object must have a name, and that is name. And every object must have a price, and this is the price. That's how we do. Now we want second object, that means comma, another one, and another name, and this is mobile. And another object price, this is the price. That's how data is stored. Now what should happen here is we are defining the name and price. What is wrong? So what is it? Name. Semicolon I given. Where I given? What is showing? Type is name, string, price is that is not assignable to name, string, and price. Number. Why it is not assignable? It is assignable only. Okay, fine. Now you see this is name is string type and price is number type. It is working fine. Now how to read the data? How we can read this data? That means we have this data available. So what is it? We have only one object, right? So this object, array of objects, yeah. Now another object is comma, and I am defining another object. It's fine, no problem. Now let's compile this. How to access the mobile price? Console.log. How to access the mobile price? So we have to use mobile price. How to access the mobile price? We have to use, what is it? Products of one dot what? So we have to access the price. That's fine. Okay. Now products of one dot price. Let's compile this. Don't worry about those errors because that is version related errors. TSC. So here no problem. We will run this. What is it? Node. What is it? Index.js. It will get that and display. Those errors are just only version related, saying that you are writing some new syntax. I can't understand. It is available only to new versions. We know that we are using new version. That is not a problem, right? So it is accessing that and it is displaying. This is basically how we can manage array of objects. How do we define array of object? Array of object, it is nothing but array that can handle multiple objects. Array that can handle multiple objects. Now, how do we handle multiple objects? Syntactically, we have to define some reference name. It is an array of what type? Object type. In that we have to define the key and data type. How to configure the types. That's how we use. Now, an example for this is the program. So that I copied. This is a program for dealing with that. This is index.ts, right? So how to deal with various types of data? That means how we can work with array, how we can work with object, how we can work with array of objects, right? Next important here, another in the data types, you need to know how do we handle date types? We know how to handle a number, how to handle a string, but how do we handle date type? Actually, how we can manage the date types. Let's see how we can deal with the date type. Actually, date is stored and configured by using date class, by using a date class. So in JavaScript, we have a ready-made date class. By using the date class, we can manage. So if I want to store the date and manage the dates, then I have to use this one. So for example, see, actually in any data, suppose I am giving LET product. Let's say it is some manufactured. We are giving manufactured. So LET name is string type, and we will store some data. And manufactured, I want to store a date inside. If I want to store a date inside, then we have to configure the data type as date. That is the type for date. So usually for date, TypeScript provides a data type. By using the type, we can handle. But how to store the dates, how to access the dates, it is all JavaScript way actually. How do we store the date, access the dates in a JavaScript way means it's very simple. Usually what we do is, if you want to store the date into that, we have to use equal to new date constructor. We have to assign like this. That means what it will do is, it will allocate memory. New is a memory allocating operator, and it will load the current date into memory. Whatever current date is there, it will load the current date into memory. That is how date is stored inside. If you want to store any specific date, then you have to store here in the form of year, month, day. It's mandatory that it must be only in year, month, day. No other format is allowed. So year and month and day, like this we have to define. So usually when you are storing the date values, then this is how we need to configure. Date handles both date and time. That means if you want to define the time, then space, then time is in 24-hour format. You have to mention the time in 24-hour format. So 30. That is how we configure the both date and time. Usually, so it is a standard one. It is how we design and configure the dates. JavaScript and anywhere JSON type data means date will be in this format only. You might have observed, you see I showed you NASA API data. You see in the NASA API data, they have a date, earth date. They have an earth date. This is the date, year, month, day. Only this format allowed, no other format. That means while storing date, it should be year, month, day. While showing date, you can show in any way. Because for a person who wants to see the date, for him you can show in any way you want. You can show day, month, year, month, day, year, anything in his convenient way. But while storing it in the data, while storing it in your JSON type, it must be year, month, day, mandatory. Otherwise, it will not allow. So data is stored, dates are stored in this format. Now, how do we access the dates? That means usually how do we configure the date? LET, some MFD is manufactured. It is what type date is equal to new date. This is going to load current date. It is going to load the current date. If you want any specific date, MFD and date, you have to define new date. Here you need to define year, month, and day format. That's how we need to configure. And here we need to put hours, so and minutes and seconds. Like this we have to define. That is how we need to load specific. This is load specific. So year, month, day, hour, minutes, and seconds. That's how we need to configure the date. So managing the dates, configuring the date is very important, because dealing with the date values will be regularly done in every application. So generally data means always there will be date option also. We have to handle it. So you see now date is stored. Then how to access the date? Actually, date and time can be accessed by using JavaScript date methods, which are same in TypeScript also. JavaScript have several date methods. By using that you can access, like we have get hours, we have like get minutes, we have like get seconds, we have like get milliseconds. So we have get day, we have get date, we have get month, and we have get full year. These are all date related functions. All these functions are going to return number only. All they are going to return a number. Hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, they are general. So day means it will return actually. So hours means what it will return. So our number in 24-hour format. It will return our number. So minutes, it will return 0 to 59. Seconds, it will return 0 to 59. And milliseconds, it will return 0 to 99. Day is nothing but, so 0 to 6. And where 0 to 6, where 0 is equal to Sunday. That means 0 is Sunday, 1 is Monday, 2 is Tuesday, 3 is Thursday, like that. That's how it returns the date. It will not return Sunday word. It will return only number. So date, it is going to return the date number. Date number will be, date number is 1 to 31, 30 or 29, 28, depending on the month. And month will return 0 to 11, where 0 is January. So full year will return the complete year, so 2022. These are the date functions. And you have options like to local date string. You have options like to local time string. These are all the functions which are ready-made functions. They will return only short date, short time, and display them. So when you are dealing with the dates, these are the functions for accessing the date. But we have to display in a clean format, which you will learn in Angular how we can handle them. But you see, suppose I want to present the manufactured date. So I'm using here console.log. So here I will put name is equal to whatever the name is there. In the next line, manufactured is equal to whatever the manufactured is there, I am accessing. And I will put here as to local date string. That is what I am using. Actually, if I don't use this, generally it will return a lengthy date and time format. Manufactured means, you see, just I am printing manufactured. If I am printing just manufactured and without any date functions, so usually it is going to print in this way: Saturday, October 22, 22, 2030, GMT and all this. So JavaScript will teach you how to extract only month, how to extract number, how to extract only day, how to display them. These are all manipulating of dates in JavaScript. So the same functions are used in TypeScript also. Here, if you want, in a short, you can try this. To local date string. To local date string, it is going to print only date. It is going to print only date. So separately we can access and print. So that for that you need all the JavaScript methods. These are not only for accessing. You can set date also. That means JavaScript allows to set a new date or time by using methods. So we have set hours method, we have set minutes method, we have set seconds, we have set milliseconds, we have set date, we have set day, set month, you have set year. So these are all options. So this is the date functions to set a new value anywhere, anytime you want. You want to change the date, you want to change the month, you want to change the year, you can use this set functions. Get functions for reading and set functions are for assigning. These are all JavaScript date functions, right? So we use these all functions in the same way how we define in JavaScript. Here only one new thing you have to learn is how to configure date type and store date into it. How to access the dates and how do we set the dates, right? Because when you are dealing with the data, these all are required. So finally, you learned so many data types. What are all the data types you learned? TypeScript data types. What are the TypeScript data types we have? I'm giving a summary. Summary for number, we have string, we have boolean, we have null, we have undefined, we have array, we have object, and we have array of object. So, and we have a date. These are all different types of data how to handle, right? So once we know how do we declare variables, configure the data types. Now another important in the language is, TypeScript operators. TypeScript operators all are same as JavaScript operators. If you don't know JavaScript operators, I will upload a document, see it, and you have to learn. Because we can't waste time in teaching operator statements again here. That is all JavaScript things. Operators means, we have arithmetic operators. So we have logical operators. We have logical operators. We have assignment operators. So we have, conditional operators, assignment operators. We have comparison operators, and what? So we are having a bitwise operators, we have special operators. All these are same. These are all JavaScript operators. The same operators are used in TypeScript. JavaScript operators and TypeScript operators both are same, right? Now special operators, you will learn in JavaScript actually special operators. We have delete, we have in, we have off, you have new, we have a special operator called type of, we have instance of, and we have operators like new is already there. Yeah, yield is a new operator. These are all operators, special operators. These are all JavaScript special operators. The same operators are used in TypeScript, right? So these operators you will learn in JavaScript. Otherwise, I will upload a simple document into Classroom. You check it, right? Related to operators, right? Next, statements, TypeScript statements. TypeScript statements, same JavaScript statements. All our statements are same. What are selection statements? What are the selection statements? Keywords, if, else. You know, na, all of them. What are looping statements? Looping control statements means for, while, and do while. We have iteration statements. Yesterday we learned iteration statements. I showed you, like we have for in, we have like for off. These are iteration statements. We have jump statements. You know jump statements now. We have break, we have continue, and we have return. These are jump statements. We have exception handling statements. Exception handling statements, try, catch, throw, finally, all these are exception handling. Same JavaScript statements. So all these statements are same here, right? So you need to have a knowledge of all of these in order to deal with Angular, right? These are not the concepts you learn in Angular. These are the concepts you use in Angular, right? You must be perfect in all, right? Angular is not a concept of teaching you this. It is using it, right? You should know them and come here, right? So these are all statements. We have statements and how to deal with the statements, configuring the statements and working with the statements. So this is basically statements, how to deal, and operators, how to work with them. I will upload some documents for people who want to refer. So if they haven't learned any JavaScript, I will just upload that, right? Now, after knowing these statements, now we need to go into the major part, that is about TypeScript OOP concepts. That means object-oriented programming. Here some new features are there. So we will detailedly discuss those new features, right? So to perfectly work with Angular, you need to have good knowledge of TypeScript object-oriented programming, TypeScript OOP features. I hope you know the basic points. I will just give an evolution introduction here. General things you know already. No need to detailedly go into it. Just overview I will give. Actually, real world application development, real world application development uses three types of programming systems. We have POPS, we have OBPS, and we have, so we have three types of programming systems. So we have process-oriented programming system, So we have object-based programming system and object-oriented programming system. We have three types of programming system. What is process-oriented programming system? You don't know. Process-oriented programming system, actually, it supports low-level features. Next point is It supports low level features. It can directly interact with hardware services. So it uses low memory, and it is faster. So these are all advantages of process oriented programming system. They support low level features. They can directly interact with hardware services. They use less memory. They are faster. Example for them, you have C. This comes under the category of process oriented programming systems. These are called POPS, process oriented programming system. What are the drawbacks for them? They have some issues like code reusability issue will be there. Code reusability issue will be there. Code separation issues will be there. So code reusability issue, code separation issue will be there. Another important, no dynamic memory and accessibility issues will be there. These are all problems with the process oriented programming system. Process oriented programming systems are fast. They use very less memory, but reusability, separation, dynamic memory allocations, all these are issues. These are the major issues in POPS, but they are good for certain type of environment. They are good for, suppose you are using a microwave oven, you are using a air condition, you can't put a Java.NET program into it. We can't put, because in that there must be a small chip. In that chip, we need to put some software which is controlled through a remote, and that should control the hardware directly. Hardware means rotating the fan left and right, on and off the compressors. Devices it have to control. Your OOP languages cannot do that. That is the reason TV, air conditions, all TV is Android and all, right? Air conditions, washing machines, microwaves, these all based on process oriented programming systems, POPS. Not only that, at a very high level also, we use Pascal and all as process oriented. Means we can't underestimate them, because actually process oriented programming system we use in even space research. NASA uses Pascal, right? That means they have very high abilities. They may not suit for your requirements every time, right? Now, another is object-based programming system. Object-based programming system. Object-based programming system. We have object-based programming system. Actually, object-based programming system, it supports code reusability. It supports code reusability. It supports separation, and it supports extensibility. But it will not support everything. That means a restricted extensibility. So that is the problem, and it supports dynamic memory. Dynamic memory is supported. Example for this, we have JavaScript, we have VB, Visual Basic. These all languages comes under the category of OBPS, Object-Based Programming System. JavaScript is not a OOP language. JavaScript supports only some features of OOPs, but it is not a complete OOP language. So JavaScript have some features, but it is not completely OOP language. So if you want to know, actually JavaScript supports several programming paradigms like functional programming, structural programming, imperative programming, everything is supported. but they are not complete OOP languages. JavaScript is not a complete OOP language. Then what are the issues? So many issues will be there. So no dynamic polymorphism. No dynamic polymorphism. What is that? You will able to understand later when you learn about polymorphism. There is no dynamic polymorphism. There is no code level security. Code level security. Issues in handling dynamic memory. We have dynamic memory, but having problem in handling dynamic memory. These are the problems with the object-based programming system. So that is the reason. So if you want so many facilities, then we have what is oriented programming system. Object-oriented programming system. What it does, it supports code reusability. It supports reusability. It supports separation. It supports extensibility. It supports security. It supports complete dynamic memory. All these are supported by object-oriented programming. Example for this, we have C++, we have Java, we have C#, all these object-oriented programming. What are drawbacks? OOP languages will not support with low-level features. That means OOP languages cannot directly interact with hardware services. That means they are slow. They need more memory, and they are very complex in all. These are all the drawbacks of OOPs. OOP is not the greatest language for everybody. It has a lot of technical problems for us in various situations. So it is not good for every environment. So that is the reason, depending on requirement, we use. Because for example, you see a mobile. You have a mobile with Symbian operating system. Symbian operating system means with not smartphones, 1,000 rupees mobile. You know, its operating system is Symbian. Symbian is an operating system for them. You have 30,000 rupees your mobile, Android mobile. Now Android is Java. It is designed in Java and all. Now then your Android phone is still loading. This 1,000 rupees phone is ready. Never get struck up. It will be fast in responding. Your 20,000 phone will be slow. It will be loading. It will be 20,000 rupee phone is using an OOP language, which you have to compromise with space. You have to compromise with speed. You have to compromise with so many other technical issues. If you have to compromise, then go with that. So if you take a 1,000 rupees phone, it will never struck. It will respond immediately because the operating system can directly interact with hardware services, but here not. That is the reason OOP languages have so many drawbacks. So let's keep here our TypeScript is also an OOP language. Now, what are the features of the OOPs? What are the features of the OOPs? How do we use these OOPs? We have to learn about them. That means one by one we will discuss about the OOP features, how they have to work and use them. That we'll see tomorrow, right? So once we finish these OOP concepts, now we are ready for Angular now. OOP features, few important features you discuss in next session. Tomorrow we'll do that. Okay, right.